Here I am out in the middle of the fens, and I wanted to introduce you to what we're doing at our new improved Eastern Agri-tech Innovation Hub. Now this is an industrial site, so you're now in the most beautiful civilised part, and this was built back in 2015. We have continually expanded since then. So we'll start from here in terms of the facilities. It's a boardroom, enough room for a good 15 people to meet and discuss either innovations or where the business is going to go next. But pretty much everywhere else is a bit dirty, a bit straightforward, but it absolutely gives the facilities that a small agri-tech company needs. Here we have one of our new pieces of equipment that we've installed on site. And just to stress, it's an aerobic digester compared to an anaerobic digester. So it uses air in the process of breakdown of the material that we put into it. So pretty much any organic material that can be broken down in a compost heap, we will put it in here. And in fact, they said to us, use quite a mixed feedstocks and it will grow best. And so this is part of our looking at prevention of waste or dealing with waste in whichever way is appropriate. So it goes through, you can get through over a tonne in a week. You can either put a lot in or you can put in a small amount and just have it ticking over. And when it's finished, you get this very dry, brown, powdery material. This is the remains of the aerobic process. And that can be used as a soil conditioner, or potentially we could burn it in a biomass boiler. So a really nice addition to our set, and be very interested to see what the local farmers think about what we can put into it over the next few years. This is part of our new heating system. So it's part of our whole heat and power. And it's quite chilly out today, and I'm finding it very pleasant to hold that because that is hot. And this is the free heat that we're getting from our heat pump. So there's several items, but this particular one is generating heat to heat this space. This is the control panel for our new heat and power inputs. We are able to find out precisely how much heat and power we're getting from the various different components. For example, this is what's happening in the polytunnel. This is the ground source heat pump, and you can see it follows through, and this is the impact it's having inside the building. So it's great that because we have a demo site here and we want to show people the potential of using these different things, we can actually demonstrate precisely what we're getting from the different components. Now we've got the real meat, if you like, of the new facilities that we've just installed. These are solar heat panels, and these will giving us heating, which will be heating the main buildings. Behind you see quite a significant array of photovoltaics. They'll be supplying the lighting, so all of the lighting for all three of the main buildings and the smaller buildings. And then if you keep looking round, you'll see there is the main polytunnel. In front of that, you'll see the power headquarters, so all of the different components feed into that headquarters. And then just beyond that, you see the greenhouse. Now, the reason I'm mentioning these is that the land-based heat pump is sitting underneath that polytunnel, underneath the glasshouse. So not only do we get the normal amount of heat power from that, but we actually get a increase because you get the concentration of the impact of the sun, so you get an increase of the amount of energy that you would normally get from such a setup. So we have two polytunnels, but we also included in our set this quite small greenhouse in terms of what the commercial people will be using. It's really very much a mini research glasshouse. Remember that we've got the heat pump underneath this, so it's benefiting from, particularly later in the year when we really start getting a bit more sunshine. And also you'll notice in the corner there that we have rainwater capture, so we're capturing rainwater from here and also the other main buildings. So we're really trying to bring together as many different components of sustainable use of resources, and we can quantify, how much impact that will have on the businesses that are using these sorts of facilities. So this is the output of an air heat pump. We're essentially taking heat from the air and we bring that in. There's a sort of fan system here. It brings it in and it's heating the inside of this polytunnel. Obviously there's it's just a plastic covering, so it literally will either heat or cool the air within the polytunnel. It means that we very much nicer environment for the plants to grow in. If it's too cold, they will be warmed, and if it's too hot, they'll be cooled. So it just buffers the internal conditions within this polytunnel, and that enables us to do all sorts of work with the different species that we're growing in here. There's work ongoing at the moment with roses and with apple trees, but it'll form a very nice resource for not just the Niab work, but also the work that we will be doing with our SME colleagues. This was something that our contractors, SDC, suggested to us, and it's a so-called Biodisk. So one of the problems that you have in these sites that are quite isolated, you know, from main towns and cities, is that we didn't have mains plumbing. So the way that we dealt with sewage was that it all went into a cesspit, and every month or so, depending on the use, a lorry would come along and take it all away. And for a start, that's quite expensive and not very sustainable, and secondly, it made quite a bad smell on the site. So this wonderful thing, it doesn't look very exciting from the outside, but on the inside it's quite a complex microbially mediated digestion of the sewage. So like some of the old-fashioned septic tanks that people used to use, a bit like that, quite a bit more high-tech, and so it digests the sewage. We can't use harsh bleaches or anything now in the equipment, and now this will be digested down to a product which is quite dry, potentially could be used in other situations, perhaps as a compost, but in any case it doesn't need to be emptied more than once every 6 to 7 months, so a really fabulous addition to the site.